Recording in progress.
Recording in progress.
I don't think this has a microphone. I think this is just.
This is your computer.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Is the recording okay, or do I need to get a headset?
No, it's fine. I don't even wear my headset anymore. And
God.
my producer says that my sounds fine. So
You have a producer? You're so fancy.
you know who my producer is?
Your mama?
Oh. Hetero life mate, my husband.
Hetero life mates.
That was from the days from before we got married, when we were never going to get married. And we were just going to be life mates.
Hetero life mates.
It's from Jay and Silent Bob.
No, I know. This was so good.
So hetero life mate is my producer.
Now that I got divorced, the number of people are like, "Are you a lesbian?" And I was like, "I wish." Like, it would make things so much easier. Like,
I'm a hypothetical lesbian.
It would be so much. My friends who are lesbians are like, "Oh, I wish you could come to the club." And I was like, I know. It's so sad.
No, I'm a hypothetical lesbian in that I would conceivably date that way if the opportunity presented itself. But I'm happily married and I'm very monogamous, so that's not a thing.
I know. It's just such a bummer. Like,
it's not going to be a thing for me. But anyway.
It's a bummer for all of us. I mean, I know.
I should probably introduce you to the world.
The world?
This is your introduction to the world. Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm a Taurus. I like long walks on the beach. Hi.
Are you a Taurus?
I am.
Oh, God.
Oh, I'm a Taurus.
That explains so much. So this is my dear friend, Ashlee.
Hey.
She lives a few houses over from me.
Thank God.
And she's also a below deck aficionado, I will say.
Huge nerd.
That's putting it nicely.
So I was one of those people that spent way too long at summer camp. It was one of those people that you're like, you're still at summer camp. Interesting. And so I think that watching Below Deck is like the closest I can get to a summer camp, because it's kind of like, okay, what would you do with every problem that like faced you? And you still had to pretend that everything was okay to people, because drunkards are like either toddlers or teenagers. It's the same. It's the same amount of logic.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a win right there.
I was a camp counselor in my day, in my college days. So the nature of a season, like a charter season, and all of the relationships is very, very similar to what we did. And like every third night we would go out drinking to the bars, double fisting all night. You know, we have make our curfew. We're racing to make our curfew back. Paying the consequences the next day while we're working, all hungover and stuff. So so I think that there's an attraction there for me as well.
100%. Yes. There's always somebody you have to report to. You always have to get up on time, even when you have a hangover. You always have to do things. You have to look presentable. There's like a corollary. There's also a piece about boating that I know nothing about, which I think is amazing. But unlike Bree in this episode, I do know how to steam and iron things. Thanks, Bree.
Oh my God, we will get to that. But before we do, we're going to talk just some below deck fun. Yeah. Okay,
I'm ready.
We're going to start with, because we have to introduce you to the world, to the fraudcasters. Well, so Ashlee's going to be doing below deck with me all season. So, you got to know who she is. What is she like? What are your, like an icebreaker at work that we do at work is, what are 3 fun facts about you?
Oh my God. What are 3 fun facts about Ashlee? I once lied to George Bush Sr. to his face.
Okay. There's a story there we'll get one day.
One day. It's fine.
Maybe.
I have an annual St. Patrick's Day celebration, which has kind of become a thing and
yes, you do.
It's a little bit legendary, and my neighbors haven't called the cops yet. Thank you, neighbors.
And well, I think most of your neighbors are there. Right. Are they going to complain to the
Good
HOA?
Call. Good point. Yes. There's been no complaint to the HOA management yet. And number 3, green is my favorite color.
Okay. All right. So there's some things about Ashlee. The other thing that I like to do on this show is fuck, marry, kill.
Oh, yes.
And I usually end like an episode if I'm interviewing someone or whatever, like I'll end with that, but we're going to start.
No, let's do it.
Okay. So I'm going to get, since you're so deep into Below Deck, I'm going to go Below Deck Caribbean, fuck, marry, kill.
Okay. Yep.
Everybody's up. Everybody from that.
The whole
universe.
Gamut. Let's do it.
Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Go. Fuck, marry, kill. I'm giving you so many people. I'm not even breaking it down by vote. I'm just saying.
No, you don't need to.
Everybody.
I would fuck Bobby. I'm gonna go throwback here.
Throwback.
I mean, Bobby Deckhand, like season 1 Med, like the firefighter.
We're not in Med.
I know, but he was in Med.
Oh, he did jump over to Med.
He did. Yeah. He was over with Mark. Yeah. In the whole, like 100%. Hello, Bobby. 100%.
Right.
Mary. Eddie.
He lives in Baltimore.
I know. We could go hunt him down.
We could.
Let's do this. Okay.
We go see if we can get him to tug us around.
Can
we give you a little
okay
tug?
With that. He just seems like an all-around good old guy, you know, that just
despite fucking Rocky on a washing machine.
Well, maybe that's why I want to marry him.
Right, because he has a little bit of a streak. Okay,
and
okay.
He was crazy. He kept it going. And then kill. Who was the dickwad who was the chef with Aisha in?
That's wrong part of the continent. We're in Caribbean.
Oh, we got to stay in Caribbean. Oh, yeah. God. Okay.
Because I'm gonna go Med next.
Who was the Caribbean? What was the Caribbean? Is that OG?
Yes. Well, it's not all Caribbean, right? I say Caribbean, but it's not. No,
I got you.
You know what I mean? That's OG. That's just that side, that part of the country.
Who was the chef with Kate before it got replaced with shit? I should know this.
The guy with the beef cheeks.
Yes, who was like Leon. A dick, Rocky. Leon. Let's kill some Leon. Anybody who's a chef who brings a dehydrator into the kitchen and then requests that you keep the boxes, too far.
His downfall for me, amongst others, but one of them was when they had the guests on board who wanted protein shakes, and he had like Ensure shakes for like old people. I'm like, no, that's not the protein shake.
Too far.
Yeah, not gonna work.
No.
Okay. Now we go over to the other part of the world, and we'll go Med and Down Under.
Ooh.
Because Med, like Down Under, is kind of near Med, so I mean, it's kind. You know what I mean?
It is. Can I continue with Bobby on the fuck category?
Nope. Gotta go new.
I have to do somebody new.
Got somebody new. Come on, be a whore.
Oh, that's not okay. Sorry.
I mean that in the best way.
No. Yeah, no. I took it
possible.
You know what? I would go with Alex. Cutie Pie Alex from season 5, who was with
Med,
who had the hot Med, who went for Bugsy.
Oh yeah.
He was so
I
cute.
did like him. Okay, yeah. I liked him.
You know? Staying in the Med category, in the Mary category, I would go with Z.
He's a sweetheart.
He's just
Z's a sweetheart.
Old.
Yeah.
And then in the kill category, I'm gonna go with like literally every chef that's is that
Yeah,
Listen.
but here's where you can go with that chef, and I
Oh,
cannot
okay, good.
remember his name. But yeah, where with Aisha, and he was just like, "Well, how many vacuums have you pushed?" And he was awful and terrible, and well,
You
but
stick with your vacuum. I'll stick with my
and he
cooking.
was so like didn't
Dick
care what the
mean.
guests wanted, and this is the guests are going to eat what I
Listen.
want.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's not acceptable. You're
not
being
super
a
yacht.
dick. Nobody has time for that.
So can I ask you a question? Are you consulting your Excel spreadsheets or I'm sorry, Google sheets of notes that you have over your years of below
Okay.
deck watching? Because I know you have them.
So I am so excited to be your
That was
guest.
not a denial.
Listen, I have big shoes to step. I've been listening to your podcast. I know where Lexi is usually here. So I am here to fill some shoes.
Okay.
And
All right.
so yes, I may have an entire Google folder of spreadsheets, and I might have a list of every single staff person who's been on Below Deck Med, what the name of their boat, their location. I might. I'm just saying I'm ready for this.
What?
I'm prepared for what might come.
All the cross referencing of
I'm
trivia.
excited. Listen, you don't have people who
I
just
love it.
happen to stumble across you. You have a dedicated fans. I'm here for it. Let's take this.
We are ready to take down below deck
Make
Mediterranean
this happen.
season 7, 9. What are we on?
9.
9.
Season 9.
9.
It
Season
is
9.
8 for Sandy, though. Remember,
Right, because
Captain
she was
Howard,
not on
Captain
season
Mark
1.
took season 1. R.I.P.
Captain Mark.
Mark
Well,
Howard, he totally, he like
he
croaked
didn't
it.
RIP though. Like that makes it sound like he's unalived.
He's unalive.
What?
Are you kidding me? He
No.
died of like cardiac tower thing. And then like in his obituary, it said, how do you not know this? In the obituary, it said like chronic alcoholism, which I was like, you know what?
That
You
tracks.
do you. YOLO. YOLO.
Hey, um, oh, well shit. I feel like a fucking asshole now. Okay.
RIP, Mark. RIP.
RIP Mark. Okay. So we're gonna cover Below Deck Med. We're gonna cover the whole season. We're gonna have some fun
Yes.
stuff.
I've got some
And
thoughts.
we're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back. Where do we want to start? How do you want to start? How do you want to attack this?
You know, I was really fascinated that they launched in, as typical with the Below Deck franchise. They gave us a good couple of minutes of some highlights, some teasers through the season, but then it was just a straight jump into Aisha just walking along that deck. She was like, I'm home. These are my people. Let's make this happen. And I was
She
like, take it, Aisha. You're the chiefer now. Like,
and
you
she
got
had to
this.
walk down that entire how long? Like they made her walk down that entire thing. Like
You got it.
that boat had to park at the very, 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 very end, and she's hauling all of her shit down there. And I'm like, okay, do they just do that for like the camera effect, or do they really like not have like a golf cart that you can take down?
I feel like they probably had a golf cart. I also feel like she was like, I'm looking good. Look, my hair is curled. I'm ready for this. You
How
know?
many times do you think she had to walk it for them to get those shots?
8 at
8.
minimum. At a
At a minimum.
minimum.
Okay. She does look beautiful.
She does.
Now, what we know about Aisha is that she was which season did she start on?
Good question.
Well, this is your below deck primer for those of
Uh-huh.
you guys who are jumping into below deck now and you haven't seen other seasons or other iterations in the multiverse that is below deck.
You're right. So she jumped into the med in season 4 in Sirocco,
Mm-hmm.
the boat, which was with Captain Sandy. And the chief, she was under Hannah as chief steward. And
June
then
June
from
Hannah. June
yeah,
Hannah.
yeah,
June
iconic.
Hannah. June Hannah.
June. Which is a bit iconic for many reasons, but that's the season she came on board. She dated Jack, the deckhand. He
Who
like
has a
made his
connection to somebody else?
listen. We didn't find that out until later. He was very cute, but he was very argumentative with his bosun Joelle in season 4, which we all know, but
Yes, but Joel was
understandable because
argumentative with a lot of people before he grew up and became a real boy.
Pinocchio. So we first saw Aisha, it aired in June of 2019 as the second stew for Sirocco season 4 of the Med. And remember that she also at that time jumped in and was very argumentative and saying that Sandy should be giving more credit to the interior.
Yes. Now, I found that very, very interesting just because,
Right.
like, I mean, I've rewatched these seasons over and over and over again and at different times in my life. So I have different viewpoints on all of the things that happen depending
Absolutely.
on what what time of my life I watched it at, right? And I think the first time I saw it, I was like still kind of on the Hannah train. I was like, okay, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, and I was like, the people, Sandy's just such a bitch to everybody, and she's just not seeing what they're doing. And then I'm rewatching it, and I'm in my hating Hannah era,
Yeah.
and I'm like, Hannah doesn't do shit. She's a terrible chief stew. She can't manage for shit. And I'm looking at going, oh, Aisha, that's not a good look on you to be doing that, to be standing up for what is really bad stew service. I mean, I see why she did it, and hey, we're all young and dumb, right?
Each their own. Each their own. And I appreciate that she came back for season 5 under Hannah again.
Yes.
Right. And then when Hannah got booted, we all know season 5 because
Well,
Malia found
the weed,
she had a little bit of something.
right?
And she got booted.
She had the Ativan and the weed pen on board, and the problem
Mhm.
was not that she had the Ativan, which she apparently later produced a prescription for,
Sure.
which it's questionable whether it was
Sure.
written before or after, but whatever. The problem was not that. The problem was maritime law requires that you register
That.
it with the boat and all this other stuff, and none of that stuff was done. So
Bingo. And I
that was
think
the problem.
Aisha did a great job stepping under Bugsy at that point. And,
Right.
Bugsy had a completely different way of leading. And so she
Yeah.
stepped forward. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, but I really think that Aisha has always carried a really strong personality and a really strong character of her own. And so when it was her time to step forward, she had a very clear vision of who she wanted to be and how she wanted to lead and what she wanted to do. And she's carried that forward. And I think
Yes.
she has done a great job at that.
I
I
think,
would question some management decisions, but we're
well,
seeing that this
yeah.
season.
I think her first season as Chief Stew, she learned the lesson that she was too nice.
Yes. Don't we all?
Yeah, she wanted it to be
Yeah.
nice and everybody be liked. And then she realized that she had to be firmer, but she could still do it by being kind. Like, she's not going to be an asshole no matter what. She can still be kind and lead and manage. And that's what she's figuring out. So seeing that progression, obviously your first season as Chief Stew, it's not going to be your best management season. So,
Right.
and I remember the first time I met Aisha, I met her on Below Deck or Down Under. I met her on Down Under because she
Oh, yeah, yeah,
jumped
yeah. With Jason. Yeah,
with
Captain Jason.
Jason because I saw that before I
Hottie
had
Pants McGee.
finished hottie Captain Hot Pants. Um, I had seen that before I'd finished my Med seasons watch, so I hadn't seen her over on Med, and I only saw her there, and I was like, okay, she's a lot. She's a lot. And then I was like, okay, I don't know how I feel about it. I remember like recording about it and I remember doing episodes about it, going, God, she's just so much all the time. Oh my gosh, she's so much. But then upon rewatching, I'm like, I dig it. I dig it. It's totally my vibe. So maybe
Right.
I was originally put off by it because I'm like, oh, that's exactly me. Maybe I don't know.
Well, and I think what Aisha does a really good job is she just wants everybody to be who they are, right? Like she knows she's a lot. She knows
Hmm.
that she's like a little bit rare.
Hmm.
And so she needs a balance to that, right?
Right.
Just as Hannah said, I hate tablescapes. I need somebody else to come in and do
And
tablescapes.
Sandy calls that out.
Look, we all have strengths. Sometimes it's not tablescapes. So it's fine. It's totally good. But I would also throw out there, so Sandy has been the captain on Med, right? That's been
Mhm.
her like flagship kind of season, right? I mean,
Right.
we all know she jumped over to OG to cover
Right.
for Lee when he
Right.
needed some more. Okay. But OG, so this is her 8th season,
Hmm.
Sandy's 8th season as being captain. And of those 8 seasons, she's had 6 chief stews.
Oh.
Right. So Hannah,
Do you have the numbers for Captain Lee?
I do
Of
not. Oh,
course.
I should go. But Captain Lee really had Kate.
Well,
It
that's
was
what I'm
Kate,
saying is
Kate,
like,
Kate, Kate,
can you
Kate, and then it
can you
was
compare the
right.
two? Like how
Yes.
many like how many did
We'll have to.
Andy go through? Like we'll have to run some numbers on there.
Yeah.
Where's our numbers guy? We'll
I
have to
don't know.
run some numbers
Yeah.
about and figure out what the like how many chief stews Sandy chewed up and spit out
Yeah.
as compared to Captain Lee. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So she did keep she did keep Hannah for seasons. So let me refresh.
Kept her
Sandy was
long beyond her expiration date.
100% totally agree. So Sandy has been the Med seasons 2 through 9. This is season 9. And that seasons 2, 3, 4, and half of 5 was Hannah. So she
Uh-huh.
had a really good stretch of saying, like, look, this is my chief stew. This is who I built a relationship with. And then Bugsy came in and filled in the second half of 5.
Okay.
And then she took Katie. Remember, Katie
Right.
was the one who dated Jack
Right.
before Aisha did. Okay. And then she had Tasha, and Tasha was the one who was dating
That was a
Mitch.
terrible
Oh,
season.
that was the worst.
That was such a bad season. Tasha
And
dating
then,
the chef and the whole that was our first
hey,
season with Natalia and Tasha. Oh God, yeah.
yes. So we all thought, okay, Katie didn't work out as your chief. Got it. Tasha was not your chief stew. That was
No.
not a good fit. Fine.
No.
And then last season, she had Nat for the season, for the first episode of season 8,
Right. And then
which I thought
Toomey.
was a great fit, honestly. I thought Nat and Sandy were a great fit. But then she brought in Toomey for Toomey
Well,
was
because
supposed to
Toomey
be,
was scheduled to was
yeah,
slated and it was
you
like a
got it.
visa thing, right? So
But I,
that's why she was late. And it was like, Nat, I need you to step in, but
exactly.
Toomey has already been granted this role, as it were. You know
Bingo.
what I mean?
So
And
I
now,
just think
okay.
Sandy has found her chief stew, which I think, she had that kind of bosun within Malia, which was like, okay, this is the person I have in that leadership role. I trust that person in that leadership role.
Hmm.
And then I felt like she was trying to find that in the chief stew of Hannah, but it just didn't stick. And so I'm hoping that maybe Aisha is like her person. Like, this is my chief stew. This is who I
Hmm.
trust. But honestly, I think Jason's just going to steal her back. So is it Aisha who's going to be the chief stew for Med and Down Under? Or where's she
Well,
going
yeah,
there?
this is what we don't know, right? This is
Right.
where things get confusing because we got the season of Med. There's some confusion about whether we should have gotten sailing before we got Med, but we have all these problems with sailing season 5 because Gary was on it, and
Right.
Gary, while they were in the middle of filming it, Gary was accused of a lot of sexual improprieties
Bingo.
with the crew, so, or like the production crew and stuff. So I don't know what's happening with that. There's Reddit, it's all kerfluffle about it. It's, either they're trying to edit them out or they're going to reshoot or whatever. So that's all screwed up with that. Maybe the timing of
You got it.
when Med was going to go, and maybe Aisha's availability, because this was filmed before she gets engaged, right? Because we know
Yes.
in real life she's
Yes.
gotten engaged.
Yes.
Now, here's the other thing. We haven't heard anything about Down Under, right? Another season of Down
Haven't.
Under. But
Nothing.
I have it on good authority.
Oh,
Good authority that
is this like a break? Like, is this a breaking news
I know,
situation?
I mean, I've said this before, but I don't
Okay.
know if people of whatever if listened or whatever, but I have it on good authority that we will get Captain Jason back in his Budgie Smugglers. So I
Yes.
don't know anything else about the details. I just so it sounds like we're going to get more Down Under. Whether that will be with Aisha or not, I don't know. Now we have all the timing is screwed up, and everybody, because these people like Aisha and Malia and stuff, they have real lives, real boats, other boats,
Yeah.
and other things that they're doing because they're trying to
Yeah.
get their certifications, and I think Malia more so than Aisha. I don't know that she needs certifications per se, more than just experience at that point.
Yes.
But so I don't know. I don't know how many charter seasons they typically do in a year. Do they just take a week off and go jump on another boat? Like, I mean, I don't know how this
No.
all works with that. And now
So
that they're Bravo celebrities, does that change it? Do they have to be
hope
free
so.
for BravoCon? Like can you go on a non-Bravo boat and be like, sorry, I need these dates off because it's BravoCon? Like,
I hope so. I mean, so to go back to your question earlier, you said, okay, Sandy has been a captain on the Below Deck Med for 8 seasons now. And of those 8 seasons, she's really had, if you count Hannah, if you don't count Bugsley the second half, she's had Hannah, Katie, Tasha, Toomey, right? She's had 4,
okay.
really. Okay. And a couple fill-ins with that.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. She's had 4. Now, if we look at Captain Lee, to bring up our numbers, Captain Lee really had 10 seasons of the OG.
Okay.
Okay. And of those 10 seasons, okay, Kate, he had Adriana.
Oh, that first season shouldn't count.
Right. Well, technically.
Unfortunately, it does. But yeah, so he had Adrian then.
Kate for season 2, Kate for season 3, Kate for season 4, Kate for season 5, Kate for season 6, Kate for season 7. And
Damn.
And then he had Francesca, who
we liked her. She was nice.
She was nice. She should have kept her mouth shut and not have said certain things. And then had Heather, again, keep your mouth shut. And then had Frasier. And so really he had 5 over 10, while Sandy has had 4 over 8. So maybe it's not that bad. Same ratios.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we know Frasier's sticking around. Frasier's filming right now.
Yes.
They keep
Carrie, who took over.
With what? Wait, what?
With Captain Carrie, who took over for Lee in the OG.
Yes. So like the season we just finished was season 11 of OG. And Frasier was the chief stew on that. So that was his second season of chief stew.
You got it. Bingo.
Because he was second stew, then he was chief stew, and it looks like he's back again
as chief stew. I do love some Frasier. So, back to your point, the opening credits, we've got Aisha walking in. She's like, welcome back. This is my place. I love Greece. I love all of this. She's looking great. The hair is curled. It's happy. She's looking fabulous. That slowly changes. Because you can't be a chief stew when you have nothing to serve.
What the actual fuck happened here?
Oh my God. If they don't fire that provisioner, and granted, I don't know anything about provisioners, so please fill me in, but your job is to serve. And when you
couldn't source Rosé at short notice? What kind of short notice is this?
Agreed.
We couldn't source it? No.
I'm also a little confused, knowing this is happening, that they decide to leave land without Aisha running with a credit card to the nearest liquor store.
Right. So there are many things about this episode that have me going, something weird is going on. I suspect producer intervention. Given the state of the boat, how trash it was, and that there's no provisions. And the comment from the provisioner that, it's short notice, we can't source it, leads me to believe that this was like a surprise short charter that they were able to book last minute, and they weren't originally going to have it, and then they did have to source it last minute, maybe.
So that brings,
because it's a short charter. It's a one-day charter, one-night charter.
So I went back multiple times and looked at different seasons, and it seems like the average is that they give everybody coming on the boat 24 hours to turn around the boat.
Now, the rumor has it, the Reddit rumors have it that stuff isn't always accurate, even though it'll say that 24 hours. Sometimes they actually is, like people who've done this or whatever have said there actually is a few days in between.
I hope so.
On some of them. But that leads me to believe that this, like, I don't know. I mean, this is going to be my preliminary thought, and watch it get all blasted out of the water next week when, once we see what else happens. But like a large scale provisioner like that, right? Can't have fuck ups like this. They
You're
just
right.
can't. They can't stay in
Correct.
business. If this is how they're operating, they can't stay in business. So that leads me to believe that there's some other breakdown somewhere, and that it was something unusual about the situation. Provisioner says to Aisha, we couldn't source the rosé on short notice, which leads me to go, well, if they had put in their regular provisioning requests, which are they talked about their base requirements and then their charter specific, if
Yep.
all of that had been put in the proper time, there would be no short notice. So
I absolutely agree.
I think that it was like, oh, we have a night, like, oh, so they have to not only do they have to turn the boat around faster, but we're gonna have drama with all of this. And the charter, I don't know. I would hope that the charter guest would have been told, okay, but it's gonna be a shit show because we're doing it for the show.
I 100% agree. Also, I would keep in mind that there is a Costco in Greece. Now, it's in Athens, but there is a Costco in Greece. And as a frequent Costco connoisseur, I just want to say I could literally build a house out of Costco and stock it for whatever apocalypse is coming. If there's an apocalypse,
There.
I'm going to Costco.
Yeah, instead of like when, I mean, the charter guest said, hey, can you pop over to a shop? Can you pop over to a shop and get run into the 7-Eleven and grab some champs, right? Like, why didn't they do that?
No, I understand that Greece, well, actually, never mind. This is Athens, Georgia. Shit, sorry. Okay. Is
Oh
there
my god, that was
Costco
the
in
funniest fucking thing
Greece?
ever. But regardless of Costco availability, my
Right.
point
Okay.
being, they've always been able to do these things, and it seems like
Yes.
that's the basic you would do. Okay, we can't trust the provisioner. Didn't get us. Let's go. We only have one bottle of champagne. Let me at least go to a freaking restaurant and
Right.
buy the champagne off the restaurant.
Right.
They have an unlimited budget. Here, I'll give you whatever.
I
So
found
at
that
least
when I was in Greece the last time, like people chased me down the road. Well, and by me, I mean my mom, actually, which is a whole nother story. Chased my mom down the road with alcohol, encouraging us to stay. And so I'm just in a shock that, like, as a chief stew and or captain, you didn't say, hey, you know what?
let's get this
Before
as
we
backup
come
in
off
case.
Right. Before we go off anchor, let's just pop over and get a few things that we can nibble on or drink with a straw that would, keep us all happy before the
Right.
provisions come.
Because you've already got the provisions fucked up once, right?
Yes.
So the day of, when they find out whatever else, and she's like, I'm just gonna go, like the guests are asking if I go over this. The fact that Sandy didn't say, yeah, like, yes, do that because
Yes.
we can't trust these provisioners.
You got it.
That seems like the most basic of a manager thing to do is, yes, go get backup because
You
I
got it.
can't trust whether this provisioner, because the provisioner then went on to fuck up 3 more times and they
Exactly.
still did nothing about the situation.
And so that's what I'm a little confused about. And
Yeah.
let's remember that Greece, as unique of a country as it is not a complete third world country.
No.
And
No.
so, why what's the old mom adage, right? Is that like one is good and seven is better? And so why you know I'm surprised. I believe that I could be like an old caring mother here. Is that like, where is all of the backup? Why would you have left anchor
With zero
without?
bottles.
You got it.
It
Bingo.
just seems like the most bizarre choice. So all of that leads me to think that this was just producer shenanigans,
Yes.
which is like, okay, we'll get, hey, like, I don't know, whatever in their whoever the department of squirrels is that sits there and decides who gets to be on the boat as the charter guests. They
Yes.
had some people that they said, "Hey, you guys want to go on? This is the situation though, and this is
Yes.
going to be the situation. So, react or whatever." That's
Yes.
100% what I think happened.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel if I were to ever, come across $50,000 or whomever to book a below deck charter boat,
Mm-hmm.
I would not want to pick the first one nor the last one.
Correct. Because you just don't know what's going to happen.
You don't know what's going to happen. So we had Aisha come on. Okay,
Mhm.
great. And then Ian, the bosun,
What do we think of Ian?
Mr. Magoo,
Yeah.
who admits to having a childhood nickname as Mr. Magoo.
So you're not dropping your panties for Mr. Magoo. Okay.
No, but I am impressed that he like stepped up. He was like, and you were going to take this and you were going to take this. So, I feel like we've had a bad string of some bosuns lately,
Yeah,
and
we
I feel
have.
like he might be okay.
Yeah, he might
Excited
start
about
off decently strong.
Jono, the chef who is trained in architecture
The architecturally
and
dancing chef.
self-taught. Yeah, I mean, his twerking skills is great.
Yeah. But you know what? When he was teaching Aisha to twerk, I was like, that's the secret. It's that muscle. I didn't know.
I had no idea.
I can't do it anyway because those muscles don't work.
No. Yeah. Yeah. There's a certain point that they say no. I do think that there's going to be a lot of drama with our chefy this season. I
Yeah,
think
they're
as
previewing that
somebody who
already.
is self-taught, not to have anything to do with Ellie in the end of the episode, but I think as somebody who's self-taught, I think he also has he's very sensitive, as most chefs and artists
Oh
are.
yes, they're
And so
very
I think there's going to be some issues. Some
yeah.
issues. So
Interesting.
okay,
Interesting. Okay, but yeah, so he comes on. I like his vibe so far. Um,
absolutely.
he seems to put out good stuff. I mean, we've
Yeah,
not seen much, so that we'll get to when we get to the scene with the waking with Ellie, waking her up, waking him up.
yeah.
We'll talk about that, but
I do think Jono has to, gold star for him to rolling with the punches, right?
yes,
He didn't have
yes,
provisions either. And
yeah,
it showed a couple of times where he was leaving a voicemail of being like, do better. Absolutely. But I found that he was much calmer than I would expect a chef to be.
yeah.
Some of our previous chefs would have said, I can't do this. But he said, okay, I don't have lobster. What's next? Oh,
I
crab?
want surf and
Okay,
turf. I have
let's
crab. Right,
yeah,
right.
let's see what we can do. And so major props to
Yeah,
Sheffy for doing that.
you see chefs like that, and then you get those other chefs like that other asshole and stuff, and they're all like, well, this is what it is, and why
You
can't
got it.
like, no, this is what your job is to cater to their every need and whim, regardless of your own personal fifis. Okay.
I'm sorry you don't have lobster. That doesn't mean that the people aren't going to eat. So what is their next option? And he
Right.
stepped up. He was like, okay, let me open my black book of magic and see what else we have. Oh, we have crab. Let's make this happen. And he rolled with it. And
Yeah.
I think that the guests were happy with that. So
Yeah, they did. They liked it.
props to him. Moving over to the deck team. We've got Joe from Liverpool, who's our lead deckhand, was assigned.
Right. What do you think about him?
Mr. Eyebrows.
Smash or pass?
I mean, I'm single. I would smash a lot, but like, let's be real. I
Yeah.
mean, that's not.
Yeah.
But I think that he has the experience, and I think that's what matters.
Okay.
Nathan from a tiny Irish village of only 600 people.
Love him.
I do think, really? Do you? Why?
I just love him. I love the goofy. I love the goofy, and I mean, you're more Irish than I am, but maybe it's
I am. Yeah.
But maybe it's that I don't know. No, there's something about him that's like just goofy and silly, and I like that. I
But
mean,
he's
you've met my
like,
husband.
okay,
So
let's do it. Yeah. I think we're gonna have like a very Bash Brothers kind of personality between Joe and Nathan this season.
Yeah.
It's so fun, and everybody roots for that. Even,
You gotta have the bromance.
you gotta have the bromance. I mean, when Joe says, I like to finger blast my butthole.
I put that
Yeah,
on my Instagram today.
before I got to sleep, I like to finger blast my butthole. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, when you hear that pop, like what even is that?
and yet Nathan, without skipping a beat, was like, I'm gonna join in.
Just
You
rolled
know,
with it.
like how great is that? Like, listen, bro. You know what? If that's your thing, like maybe I'll give
Hey,
it a try. Like you do you.
finger pop your bum hole. I mean, I don't know.
Listen, if there was, I mean, there was some very deep sharing, and there was a lot of love.
They're
So
bonding.
much love.
So much
Right.
love and bonding.
Love that. Absolutely. What'd you think of Gail, the deckhand?
Um, I don't know yet. I'm
Hmm.
all over the place with her because I can with these characters, particularly in the first couple of episodes, I can get very influenced by the other people's reactions to each other.
Um,
And so at first I was like, okay, I kind of like her. She seems like she's got her shit together. And she's like, oh, she realized she was out of her depth,
yeah.
went down to go wake up the cat the cook, the chef, and then got blasted for it. And then she made the mistake of going back down. Like,
Well,
what
that
was
was
that?
Ellie. That was Ellie, our yeah,
Oh yeah,
our second
no.
stew. Sorry.
Oh God. See, I do this all the
Gail,
time.
hot pants, gorgeous, so pretty, deckhand,
Yes. Okay.
who's dating, who has a yachty boyfriend for the past 5 months,
That's
who
not
is
gonna go
a
well.
second engineer.
Given one of the previews we saw in this episode
Yeah.
was between her and Joe going, let's go where there's no cameras. And what we see is the upcoming that looks like that's gonna be, hopefully it's not a repeat of like Tasha and Alex.
Dave. Yeah.
Isn't it Dave? Alex,
Dave.
not Alex. Dave.
Well,
I'm
as
bad with the names.
and after Eddie and Rocky, right? Like every place has cameras. Good luck, Joe and Gail, for looking for your cameras, but that's not
They're
how it's
gonna
going
find you. The cameras will find
to.
you.
And
If
I'm
not the
grateful for that.
cameras, the microphones will find you.
Listen, I don't need a camera. I just need entertainment. So
I
we're
just need the
having fun.
sound.
That's right.
Those sound editors though should get hazard pay for some of the things that they have to edit.
Oh, I mean, those producers, like,
Yeah,
let's take a moment of silence for those
I
producers.
know, right?
God, kiss to the Lord. All right. I do think, Gail, you're a deckhand, you're Australia. I get it. I'm glad you're out there making it happen. I think you're a tough lady. I think you're carrying your own, you're seeing the details. I'm proud of you. I do think, if you're gonna have a boyfriend in this industry, you got to be a little bit more committed or open.
Right,
You got to be one
right.
or the other.
We've seen it.
So
We've seen it work, and those are the people that are very committed. Aisha, isn't that her name?
yes, with
She had
Scott, absolutely.
she had
Yeah,
she had a boyfriend the whole time. There's lots of them that have had boyfriends or girlfriends like while they're on charter. But yes, you're
absolutely.
right.
Not
Um,
easy, good for you, but
the season I just rewatched the season of Med where Aisha was the chief stew, and it was, I forget her name because I'm terrible with names, but it was the girl that was always talking to her boyfriend and Dan on the FaceTime, and she was never doing her job because she was always on her phone, and she used more of the ships
hmm
um what more of the ships like data than anybody
yeah.
else.
So
um
yeah,
that
on Med,
season.
you mean on Below Deck, on Down Under?
Oh, it must have been Down
It
Under.
was
That's what
Down
it
Under.
was.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's okay. Yeah, yeah. But yeah,
So
that was a difficult moment of like, oh my gosh, who we following?
yeah. So that on that one, couple things about that reminded me of this is because Aisha with Scott, right? That her relationship, she's like, I love you, going to sleep, bye. As compared to what's her name's always, 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 always talking. That was my point of going there,
Yep,
was
yep,
was to point that out.
100%. You got it. Okay, so and then in the interior, so we've covered that. In the interior, we got Ellie, who was back.
I liked her when she came on before because she came in, she filled in for a couple of
Yep.
charters. I liked her. I thought she was funny. She was silly. Wasn't sure how to feel about her because it was hard to tell if her personality was just genuine or if she was like trying to play this role of
Yeah.
I'm a stewardess who's silly versus she's actually a stewardess who is silly. So I still can't tell yet with her on that.
100%. I think when she came in, so she was on for 2 episodes in season 7 when everybody was in Malta, and that was under Chief Stew Tasha.
Oh yeah.
So it was like at the end of the season, and Tasha was done, and Nat and Kyle were like at each other. And so I think in that season, like she brought a really nice freshness with her, right?
Yeah, that might have been
Yeah.
why I liked her, why I associated feelings of goodwill with her.
Yeah. Like it was okay that she brought her bunny outfit and
And
you
it
know,
worked. She knew when to use it and when not to use it and stuff.
you got it. Everybody was tired by that point. Everybody was kind of at each other. Everyone was done. We were good. I'm a little concerned about her this season. I'm a little concerned just, with her. I feel like that she kind of is like, it's my way and this is how I'm gonna do it and go. And so I'm a little concerned about Ellie this season.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because we're gonna see more from her than we
Yeah,
got to before. So it's like, we're gonna get more of the real picture.
you got it.
Um, I don't know. I don't know. Like, yeah, when she started to like question herself and go back to the chef, and I'm like, you're making not good decisions. It's harder for me to respect you when you're not good at your job, or at least acknowledging where you lack. I don't know. I mean, I guess Bree is her own other planet, but
I totally agree. And when she turned to Gail and was like, Gail, go make some grilled cheese, I was like, oh God, okay.
but Gail took over that situation kind of. She was like, "Okay, I will make seven grilled cheese. You go make their drinks that they've been asking for." Like Ellie completely fell apart
Yes.
on service. And I get it because all of her experience has been in housekeeping and she really wants to learn service. So I got to give her props for the hustle, right? She wants to learn it. She wants to be a chief stew one day. She knows she's not there yet. She's got to get the experience. She's really wanting to get the experience. She
Yes.
seems like a hard worker.
Yes.
So I can't fault her for all of that, but it's like, oh, okay.
I do think there's something about the long-term vision, right? We all want to react to the moment.
Yeah.
Sure, Ellie was tired. I have
Yes.
no doubt, right? It had been a long 48 hours. She got on the boat. They were hardcore cleaning. They were making things happen, no provisions. They were making things up. She was doing it. But in the long term, was that the best approach?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, probably not great to start off the first night with waking the chef up not once but twice. Now, here's the question. Before you saw Captain Sandy say here, you never wake the chef, would you have thought the first time Ellie went to him to wake him up? Do you think that was an appropriate call? And what do you think should have happened?
So I don't.
You don't think it was a good call? She
I
should not
don't
have
think it was
gone to
a
him.
I don't think it was a good call. So for 2 reasons. One, we all know maritime law, as told to us as via below deck. Maritime law says everybody needs 8 hours of sleep,
Yeah,
right? And so if we are taking the long-term version, look at things, we know that chef has been up just as long and just as hard as you have.
correct.
Okay. So it would be way better decision to do everything within your power to find a solution, to get snacks up there to make it happen. I feel like if we would have had a clear, second stew, that they would have made something happen that was
Right.
not waking up the chef. I also think, and I gotta say this is going to be an unpopular opinion. You ready? I think that there is an issue where the expectation from Aisha and from Sheffy were not clear, right? On Jacob Ward, our primary, on his sheets said, we want late night snacks.
Oh, I missed that. Even in the second watching of it, I did.
Yes. He said, we're going to want late night snacks. And so, whose responsibility is that to have things prepped that could then go forward? That is Aisha as your chief
And
stew, and that
Sheffy.
is Sheffy as the person responsible for the food. They should have had some late night snacks prepped,
Prepped and
ready
ready.
to go, so that that
They could
late
have
night
done
person,
phenomenal stuff where
you got it.
all you have to do is stick this in the oven for 10 minutes and
There
it'll
you
be
go.
ready.
There
This
should
will
be
be
a
ready. This
post-it
will be
note on
ready.
top of it that says, you toast this in the toaster for 4.2 minutes. And
You
it,
know, it's like we're moms or something because it's like we do that for our kids, right? And they
I can't,
still can't do it.
when
Like,
I was in my 20s, I really thought, why do people use post-its? That's not necessary. And then, oh, this is why we use Post-its.
this
It's
is
because
why.
not everybody has the brain power. And I'm not sure that Ellie is at that chief stew level. And she has said, I want to learn. And so
Correct.
I really look at Aisha and to the Sheffy to say
They
this should
should have
have been
handled it.
something they could have handled and prepped for.
I feel like I agree. So I totally agree with all of that. I think that a couple things happened to Ellie in that moment, right? So she's flustered. What she knows about service is you never say no in yachting, right?
You
So
got it.
these guests came and said we want X, Y, and Z. So she's thinking she's got to give them X, Y, and Z. In her brain, she can't handle making X, Y, and Z. So she's like, in the moment, oh fuck, I've got to go get Sheffy to do that.
Yes.
I can't handle all of this. I don't know how to make all those nachos. They want guacamole. They want mac and cheese. I don't know. She didn't know how to do any of that.
Sure.
Now, what I think should have happened if they said, oh, we want some late night snacks, she should think, what can she prepare?
Yes.
And be like, oh, like some nachos, knowing that she has like a bag of nachos and some cheese that she can throw together,
You got it.
I've got some chicken wing or whatever. Like knows that she can make, she's got a panini maker, she can make some toasties, right?
Yes.
Like, like she can, that would be the better stew way of handling it because she know if she had to put all those things together, like I can't wake chef because he needs to sleep because otherwise he won't be able to work all day tomorrow. So he needs to sleep. These people want late night snacks. What do I have available that I can get to them? Okay, those are the suggestions I'm going to offer. It's like that manipulation, it's that backwards manipulation that our kids do on us, or no, that we do our,
100%.
and then we do our, to our kids.
What? 100%. You know what would have been fun? A chips smorgasbord,
Oh my
right?
god!
You know what a chips smorgasbord is?
All
It's
of the chips.
all of the chips in a bowl. And it's like, surprise. You know what a M&M's party is? It's a bowl that has all of the flavors of M&M's poured inside. Now I get it. Your provisioner doesn't have a lot of options. And
Right.
that's where I look at Ellie and say, you're not ready to be a chief stew because you can't think this is a problem. How am I going to solve it?
With
Instead of
the
how am
best,
I going
what's
to
the,
affect other people?
yeah, to hear what's the best way of
Yeah,
solving this. Yeah.
you got it.
But I
Absolutely.
do agree that Aisha and Sheffy did not set her up well for that
No,
situation
no,
at all.
nobody did. And then we haven't yet fully debriefed on Sabrina.
Oh,
The
Brie,
summer
yes, yes,
stew.
we'll get to her. Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna get to
Yeah,
her.
because that's a whole nother piece of it that
Yeah.
we need to come across.
Oh, yeah. So what? Oh, that okay. You know what? Let's take a quick break and then we'll come right back. So we're gonna talk about Sabrina, the teenage
Yeah.
Taylor,
So, Brie
Brie.
is she's a fellow Taurus as myself, but she's only been in yachting, but she's been in for 3 years, which I feel like is not making her very green. Um
Yeah, given her abilities, like what was she doing for 3 years? Because it's not laundry.
I'm I'm very confused to your point, like what skills do you have, Brie? Because when Aisha sat down the interior and said, where are you good at? Bree started off by saying, well, I'm not really good at cocktails. And then it kind of just went downhill from there.
Yeah. Like, I don't always know what an ounce is. Okay. All right. All right.
Come on, Bree, you can do it. And obviously, she doesn't know what an iron is.
Now,
Which,
granted, that was a fancy fucking steam iron thing machine, right? But like, I think like the concept is, here's the other thing about this. Okay, well, since we're talking about Brie, let's talk about the steaming. Now, I may have misheard this situation and I didn't catch it properly on the second watch of it. So I don't know. Maybe you can help me. When the guys asked about steaming, did they or did they not say everything? Like, I had thought they said everything in the suitcase needs to be steamed. And I
correct.
thought that seems odd. Did I hear that wrong?
But I don't think that's a completely abnormal thing. I feel like they handed her a couple of things that they needed for dinner. But I don't think it's crazy to say, hey, all of our stuff has been in a
Yeah,
suitcase
right.
and we're on TV. So we'd like to look our best. Here's our stuff. Make sure it's all steamed.
My question was as to what Bree heard when she got these instructions, because how were these jumpers in the washing machine? How are they in the dryer? Did she literally wash and dry all of their clothes? Is that why it took 6 hours? Like, what happened? Because how did these things get in the washer and dryer? If you needed to steam 4 items per person, even per person, like that's not like that'll take you an hour.
And so, from a chief stew standpoint, is your expectation to be able to hand your third stew items and say, these all need to be steamed and expect it to happen? Or is
Yes.
your expectation that you're going to have to go down to a third stew who's been on charters for 3 years and
Yeah,
say,
I would have thought steaming is kind of one of the basics. So I think you would have been able to hand it off. Now, I think I need to rewatch that scene because
yeah,
where I saw it, what I saw like was like there wasn't clear communication and I probably just missed it. But Aisha handed her the items and
yes.
said, "In these, okay, then there's no issues." But why was she washing all this stuff in the washing machine and dryer? Why did she have to tell them their stuff was in the dryer as we speak?
I
She
I
clearly
wonder
had
if
it.
it was
She
I,
heard something different from Aisha, right?
I wonder if there was also in the moment like, I'm gonna be down in laundry, just take these and go away. But I don't either way. It doesn't matter if she heard steam these, it doesn't matter if she heard throw these in the dryer. As a third stew, you need to say, can you tell me? They have these things that are so cool called walkie-talkies. I don't know if you've ever heard of
Or
them.
the
So
radios.
like you push a button and you say, Hannah, Hannah, June.
June,
And then
June, Hannah.
somebody,
June, June, Hannah.
Hannah, Hannah. And then somebody repeats and is like, oh, hey, can you just clarify? Am I going to put these in the washer and dryer or should I just make sure they have no wrinkles? And then we're
Right.
all good.
What does it mean by
Everyone's speaking
something?
English, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, Aisha's speaking English, Bree's speaking English, Ellie's speaking English. Like we can all speak English. It's not like there was a language disparity here. So I'm really confused why there wasn't a clarification for the situation.
Correct. Correct. Do you
So,
think this was more producer shenanigans?
no, in this case, I don't. Considering that Bree also shared that she has never made it through a full season on
Yeah.
one boat. So I do think in that part, like, well done on the producers for giving us some drama.
They're like,
You're
oh,
gonna
this is gonna
hire
be
a
a quick.
dipshit. At
This
the
is your
same
first
point,
termination.
right? Like, please hire the bottom of the barrel. Good job. I also think, wow, Brie, certain things never to say out loud. Like, maybe never say that you've never made it through a season. Maybe that's you just leave that off a resume. It's not, I wouldn't put it on my LinkedIn
For
profile.
3 years. What
right?
does she mean by 3 years?
I don't know. But
She's
I
never
wouldn't like
been.
open up to my LinkedIn profile and be like, guess what? I've been fired from every job I've been hired for. Oh, fabulous.
But then she's
You'd
like,
be a
I
great
had a
addition to
maid.
Below Deck.
She's like, I had a maid. I don't know how to do this. Gives or when I first started
Yes,
suing, like it gave me a new appreciation. Well, she clearly still didn't learn
right.
something. I don't
You
know.
can be appreciative and still not be competent.
Yeah.
And this is where we're at.
I feel like they were trying to maybe get some Barbie vibes from her, but Barbie at least was pretty competent at her job. I wouldn't say she excelled, but she
Mm,
was pretty competent.
sometimes.
She was
Also,
competent at laundry. Let's put it that way.
that's true. Also, keep in mind that, and this was like a little kind of snuck in, that the previous time that they were on Moustique, right? From
Yeah.
season 8 in Moustique,
Uh-huh.
they had 4 stews.
Yes. Now,
Okay. But this time there's an issue because there's a leak out of the hatch. So we only have 3 stews. So I don't know who threw a bottle of water up in top of that ceiling, but well done. Because now you're like, not only are we going to run this, what, 190-meter boat on 3 stews instead of 4, but we're going to fabricate that there's a leak. And that's why we can't have an extra person.
and we're going to give you the stew that's
Right.
greener than green, even though her resume would say otherwise. So it's a big surprise to you that she doesn't know how to
Yeah.
do her job.
So not only do we want you to run this marathon, but we'd like you to do it with one foot tied behind your back and a blindfold and a dripping leak off the side. If you could do that,
Yes.
that would be really helpful for us.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for them. I
Yeah.
mean, listen.
Now, how do you think that plays into the other Reddit rumor that is that the below deck people like intentionally have fewer crew than what would normally be there?
I mean, I kind of think they have to, right? So I understand, and this is, please in the comments tell me I'm wrong, but my understanding is that like they run a boat alongside whatever the main boat is, so that the
Okay.
boat, the boat alongside hosts you know, your more of your like production crew and stuff like that. But
Okay.
there's also got to be space on the main boat
Yeah.
for whatever else. So where do those, where's that space come from? Because
Right.
your boat is going to have all of the crew listed, plus the engineer and the second engineer and the first
First
captain
officer.
and the
Yeah.
first officer and the captain. Plus, now you're telling me that there's going to be a place for confessionals and a place for the producers to, and what else are we having? I mean,
Yeah.
there's only so much space.
Correct. Yeah. That would be interesting. I mean, I feel like that would be fairly not difficult to find out, some
Right.
Googling on one of my like ADHD hyperfixation
Love
routes.
it.
Like
Yes.
when that just needs to hit and catch fire and I'll go down that route, because
Excited.
I feel like it just shouldn't be that difficult to find out like what the Mystique would normally run on if it wasn't
Yes.
filming,
Yes.
or what any of these other ships, like what normal ships run, because like all of these ones, like, and they're starting to reuse them, they've been reusing
Huh?
some of the boats because they changed the names of the boats,
You got it.
for
Yep.
the show and everything.
Yep.
So, so I would be curious how these run when they're not
Yep.
being filmed and to know what the staff ratios are and things like that. Um, the other Reddit rumor that I talked about this last week is a little bit was the rumor that there's a big divide in the yachting world between those who work on below deck and those who don't.
Yes.
And that so I wonder how true that is too. I wonder what that's really like.
I mean, it has to be. I get it. And especially because, I think the showing of the tips are the exact representation. Is that what I've heard through the rumors is that the tips on Below Deck are a bit exaggerated because nobody wants to be looking like a cheapskate when they leave a chip, for
Oh, tip,
three
yeah.
days.
Except for the people who
Oh,
actually were cheapskates before they instituted the $15,000 minimum tip rule that you have to,
you
if you're
got
going
it.
to go be on the show.
But
Um, but also, on real charter yachts, they just wire the tip. There's not handing an envelope of money. So, I mean,
who's walking around with 20 grand in euros like in your back pocket? Like,
yeah, nobody.
I don't know, but that's my butt cheek is a little high on one side.
I'm going to take some of this away because service. Fucking, what's
So,
the name?
so what do you think, like, in terms of looking forward? Because I feel like the first episode is very much like, okay, we're setting the scene. Like,
Right,
what do you
right.
think the scene is setting for us this season?
Well, obviously, we're gonna get some drama with Gail. Gail, no, is that her name?
Gail, yep, our deckhand.
Yep.
Yep,
Deckhand Gail with her boyfriend, but she's sneaking around with Joe. So we're gonna get that drama. Obviously,
100%.
there's some Sheffy drama. Um, because he says I can't handle her or whatever. So it's like, okay, they're
Right.
showing that to set the scene for some kind of drama there. Obviously, Bree, we're gonna have problems with Bree. I don't know how long she's gonna last. Um,
She's out.
I think Aisha has learned her lesson from past and being like, no, I'll cheat you, and if you can't get it, then you're done.
Yeah,
Um,
agreed.
um, but here's what I don't know. So what always happens is I watch the show and then like I'm totally in love with certain people at the beginning, and I totally like, and then others I haven't decided on. But then like 3 or 4 episodes in, they completely change because the and not that they change, it's just that what we get shown is completely different. So like I may really like what's his name from Ireland right now, but then they may show and it turns out on their first nights out, this is the kind of asshole he is. He says this and this, and he shows it true colors. That's being aired, then I totally change. So I'm wondering who is that I like that's going to completely change in a few episodes.
100%. I completely agree with you. I also think, the great part about Below Deck when we first started was that nobody really knew about it, right?
Right. Hmm.
Like, excuse me, Kate was a chief stew for Lee before they ever entered the Below Deck franchise.
Right. Right.
And so, as we look forward and look towards Nathan, our Irish hottie pants, and they asked, what Below Deck shows do you watch? He said the entire Below Deck franchise and Summer House. Okay, so what are you prepared for? If we were to go back, now this is me dating myself, but if we were to go back to the real world on
Oh, the
MTV,
real world.
oh man,
Oh,
so good.
so
So many,
good.
oh, New York, the
Pedro.
OG.
Oh, Pedro from San Francisco.
Oh, Pedro. Love.
R.I.P.
Oh my
Pedro.
God. Seamus, and okay.
Hmm.
But if we were to go back and look at that, I think that people started changing kind of they knew what they were walking into,
Yeah.
right? They knew what the cameras were going to see and not see, and they were
Right.
ready for it. And so I think there's a piece of that I kind of am expecting the Below Deck crew to kind of be ready for and
Yeah.
to kind of see themselves differently. So I'm ready for that evolution, and I'm curious within the staffing whether they will have that or whether they won't. Um,
I think one
so
of the
we'll
things
see.
that I've always loved about Below Deck, and one of the things that I think that gives it its staying power, right,
Mhm.
is partly is um the few opportunities for producers to stage things, right? Like clearly they do still interfere and they do stage things and stuff, but I feel like in Below Deck as opposed to the real world or like the Real Housewives or whatever, it's like they can't put them in situations because they are literally working on a boat. Like
Yeah.
that work literally has to get done. So
Yeah.
that is all real. And I think, I mean, so there's only so much they can do when it comes because they have real work to do. They have to be here, they have to be there. You can't. sit there and refilm 16 times a scene in the stew pantry if you didn't catch it the first time, right? I
Yep.
mean, obviously they have the cameras up now everywhere. Um, but like I feel like there's few opportunities for that, but I also feel like the crew, the people who go into yachting, what I've gathered from my seafaring education, um, watching this, and from my couple of years on the San Diego State University sailing team, sailing out of the San Diego Yacht Club,
Like the Yachts Club.
Yacht Club, so my time on the docks and stuff, I feel like these kinds of crew, like the way that they talk about it and the way that they get jobs and things like that, like there's so many of them and they jump from boat to boat and things like that. Like that is
Right.
seems so common in this world. And you're going to get people and who maybe are a good fit and maybe people who are not a good fit. Um, and they're going to jump around. So I don't know that you're ever going to be in a lack of real people that are
Yep.
coming through this, because
Great point.
they really need these people to work, and people who do this work are of a certain breed. They talk about yachties being, sort of this different world, and people who work on boats, and you get these deckhands like who work on commercial boats or other varying levels, and suddenly they have to work on these white glove boats, and they're like, whoa, some of them, I remember, I think it was Z that was talking about was his first white glove boat, but that's where he wants to go now. That's, he wants to learn it and things like that. So I think that there's always going to be some level of freshness, but just because you're going to have such a variety of people to choose from that are going to go on it, but then of course, whatever you're going to, from a reality TV casting perspective, you're going to put on, you're going to, qualify or whatever, because you always have people back up. You're going to have qualify X number of people. It's like jurors and alternate jurors, right? You've got to qualify all of them in advance, even if you can't wait to qualify them. So you have to pick and choose your cast and crew, and you've got like double the amount that you need because you're going to go through some.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to your point, what's the priority? Is the priority producing a really great show that all of us are going to watch? Or is the priority making sure that the primary is happy? Because those are
Actually doing a good job on,
because
because that's clearly not what they were doing with this charter.
they're often competing issues. And so we're going to see very quickly, like what, and it's the same, um, do you go towards the primary and what the primary wants, or do you go towards what the captain wants? These are
Yeah.
always competing, and conflicting issues. And so I'm really curious on how this season is going to go and who's going to come forward to it.
I always enjoy seeing like the different levels of maturity or lack of maturity. I was just before we got on here, I had on Peacock, the Below Deck channel on Peacock on just because it was, for background or whatever. And it was the season with it was Ben and Kate, but Emily. It was the Emily season.
Uh-huh.
And and I'm looking at like Kelly as the bosun and the decisions he's making. He's clearly not mature enough in his professional
Nope.
world. He hasn't had enough professional experience to be in that position.
You
And
got
it's
it.
like, and then his lead deckhand is Nico, who they then make bosun the next season, which was a mistake because then they had to bring EJ on to balance him out because
You got it.
this is my deck now, buddy boy.
Oh,
Um, best line ever. Um, so the maturity levels of the people that are in the positions of power or
yeah.
the heads of department, we know Aisha's maturity. So I'm interested to see how she's going to balance being nice and being stern because she learned that she couldn't do that. So
It's going to be a season.
yeah,
It's
we
going to
haven't
be a
even talked
season.
about Captain Sandy, which we'll talk about her next time, man. Maybe.
Yeah. No, I mean, welcome back, Captain Sandy. I don't feel like there was a much about Sandy this time.
No.
Like it was like she's here and she's ready to lead, and you know, and we'll see what she's got to offer.
So it'll be interesting because she's widely disliked on the Reddits.
Yes, she is.
And I go through my own phases with her because I go through times where I like her and when I just, oh my God, Sandy, shut up.
I and I feel like this season and all the previews that we've had with Sandy is, there's everything to love in this season, right? Like she proposed, like, we get all the glimpses of all of it. So we'll
When
see
she
how she
proposes.
does. I mean, I am very critical of Sandy and her
Yeah.
leadership style.
Yes.
And she's very different than Aisha. And she looks to be very different than Ian, our new bosun. So,
Yeah.
we're gonna see where she lands.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. It will be interesting. I mean, obviously Aisha and Sandy get along because Aisha's talking about, oh, she's my mom. We go see, I call her mom and whatever. We go see her in the off season. We know Aisha was like in her wedding,
Yep.
Obviously they're close. So clearly they're going to work together. Okay. But there's got to be some drama built in with that. And if Sandy is true to who Sandy always is, there's going to be, because she's going to jump to conclusions. She's going to snap at somebody and thinking that she knows what's going on when she doesn't actually know the situation. And she's going to end up apologizing to the person because it's good. She's what she's supposed to do. But fucking stop firing at the hip, woman.
Yeah, Sandy's a known micromanager in a way that is not effective. And I hate to compare her to Captain Carey, who we just got off of Below Deck, in his takeover of the OG series. But
right.
I feel like there was a way that he managed that saw details and expected, set expectations that I feel like Sandy doesn't. So I'm very curious how the season's gonna go.
Right. Right. It'll be interesting. It will be very, very interesting, but I'm
Always.
excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm so looking forward to covering the season with you. And yeah, so everybody, thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for, and everybody be really nice to Ashlee. Say hi. Why don't you leave us all some reviews and say, oh, we love Ashlee. We love Ashlee so much. Yeah. And
It's going to be an amazing season. Thanks for having me. You're the best. I've been a long-time listener, first-time guest, and I can't wait to break down the entire season with you. It is going to be amazing, and let's go.
Let's do it. All right, let's crack on with it.
Mwah!